My name is Hedge, and this is episode 1 of the 21st Hour podcast. I need a new goal in my life, so I've settled on making 21 episodes of a podcast. There's a Reddit post by Rebel Muso Society called The Art and Science of Getting to the Very Top of Crowded Creator Markets. It states that there are 2 million podcasts, and if you publish 21 episodes, you will be in the top 1% of all podcasts globally. I've never been in the top % of anything, so when I read that, I felt like I could probably achieve that. The Reddit post was published 2 years ago, and the metrics have probably changed, but the idea behind it stays the same. The post gives a lot of actionable advice about breaking into the market, creative success, competition, and not quitting. I'm not trying to do any of that. What I'm trying to do is simply set a goal and achieve it. Hopefully, I'll also gain a sense of myself back in the process. The post discussed lead and lag metrics, which makes it feel like I'm at work. But for transparency's sake, I feel like I need to share my lag and lead metrics. My lag metric is to make 21 episodes. Lag metrics are your long-term goals. Lead metrics are predictors for achieving long-term success. They are what you are going to do in order to achieve your lag metric. I'm not quite sure what my lead metric will be, as I don't know what I'm doing yet. I started working on this episode on February 21, 2023, and I started recording it May 27th at 8:48 p.m. I decided to make 3 podcasts before releasing any of them, which is one of the reasons why it took so long to get out. There's some pros and cons to this approach. Pros: I have a backlog of podcasts to post whenever I need based on my current rate of work. Once I've done 3, there's no excuse to just do one and be like, I don't like it, I'm gonna quit, and not put it out. When there's 3, you've put a lot of time and there's more of an incentive to do it. And now I have a microphone, so what else am I gonna use it for? Cons: making 3 is way more of a daunting task than making just 1, so it feels like a faraway goal. It's a lot easier to make excuses and not work on it because it feels so far away. There was this 2-week stretch where I thought I was going to wake up an hour early and work on the podcasting every morning. I didn't. I kept on making excuses for not working on it. I was tired, lazy, etc., blah, 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 blah. However, I was just really scared that this thing was going to fail before it even started. So I have 2 pros and 1 con. The pros went out. The whole discussion of lead and lag metrics, pros and cons, seems a little self-helpy, and I do not want this podcast to turn into any type of self-help. No one should take advice from me unless they are learning what not to do. I do want my podcast to be a place where I can be vulnerable about my life decisions and truthful about my thoughts. I do not want to create an environment where I get pity for anything I share. Instead, I just want to own my messes and be realistic about them. If you decide to join for the ride, I hope you will feel the same. In order to give myself a little bit of structure, I have already decided themes for the 21 episodes. I am not going to reveal what the episode ideas are, as they are not set in stone. About half of them are me talking about my life and getting personal. If you like people watching, these will be the episodes for you. Unprompted, I will share what I believe are the aspects that define me as a person, and you are free to psychoanalyze me. In my personal life, I'm a bad liar. I've been called over-emotional and immature, and I 50% agree with that. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I used to care about the things I worked for, and I want to care again. When I did care, I would get really fiery and sassy when things go wrong. In these episodes, my biggest challenge will be navigating the balancing act of knowing how much to share. I feel like both undersharing and oversharing risks making this experience less authentic. This intro episode is one of the more personal ones. When I edit it, I may split it into 2 episodes depending on how long it is. If I do not split it, the next episode will be one of the fun episodes. These episodes are my shower thoughts, topics I find interesting and want to research and share. If you love the random and weird, these are the episodes for you. Again, these topics are not set in stone. If you want me to talk about a particular topic, comment wherever you are listening to this. I am not an expert in anything, but I find it to be oddly comforting and incredibly intimate to connect with a stranger. And how divisive and crazy the world is, it can truly help your sanity to hear a normal average person have normal average positions and opinions. I hope in this way I can help make you feel less alone if you are feeling that right now. The idea is that I alternate between a personal and a fun episode. I have one rule and one suggestion for the podcast. The rule: each episode must be at least 30 minutes, which is about 4,500 words. If I make 21 episodes that are all 30 minutes, then shouldn't the podcast be called the 10.5-hour podcast? Maybe, but this is my podcast, so I get to make the rules. And I couldn't think of a better name, so this is it. When you make your own podcast, you can make your own rules. The suggestion is that the intros to my podcast will be loud. They will be obnoxious. They may contain bad singing. I can't help it if my face was made for podcasting and my voice wasn't. I was regrettably a theater kid in high school and college, so I am very used to watching and hearing myself. You all know the people, mostly children, and adults with the maturity level of children that can't watch themselves. Whenever they have to, they will make comments like, "I'm so awkward. I hate my voice. I'm so untalented." I am not a professional in any artistic field, but there comes a point where you grow up and get used to watching and hearing yourself. It's not an enjoyable experience, but it's something you get used to and you develop a level of appreciation for. You have to be able to watch yourself with a critical but productive eye to succeed in the arts and a lot of other fields. If you don't, you will destroy yourself and burn out. Even if you are not in a creative field, you will likely have to give a presentation one day, so it is an advantage to develop a healthy outlook on watching and listening to yourself. As I start to edit hours of myself talking, let's see if I continue to hold that view. Let me know if you think there are any more rules or guidelines I should add. I enjoy structure. So now onto the meat of the episode. There is a podcast musical called 36 Questions Podcast by 2 Up Productions. It is about an estranged married couple. Judith, the wife, basically lied about her entire life to her husband. They try to reconnect over the 36 questions that lead to love, and shenanigans ensue. These questions are real and were developed by psychologist Arthur Anon in a 1997 study at the State University of New York at Stony Brook. He was trying to determine how to increase and accelerate intimacy between strangers, lovers, and friends. So I'm going to answer them now, and we're going to become besties. There are 3 sets of questions, and if you were doing this legitimately, you and a partner are supposed to take turns answering the questions. Each set should take about 15 minutes, and I highly encourage you to do this with a friend, partner, stranger on the internet, or even on the first date. Set 1. Question 1. Given the choice of anyone in the world, whom would you want as a dinner guest? Obviously, I would like to have Gordon Ramsay because I would force him to teach me how to cook an awesome meal. I am not bad at cooking or baking, but if I had this opportunity, I would like to learn. I think I would clam up if I had to talk to a real famous person or somebody that I just admired, and it would result in an infamously awkward dinner party. Question 2. Would you like to be famous? In what way? Since I am starting a podcast, I feel like I am automatically disqualified from saying I do not want to be famous. I do like recognition and attention, but only when I do something that is worthy of it. I need to earn it. I hate attention for no reason, and I wouldn't want to be famous or known for something empty or hollow. Question 3. Before making a telephone call, do you ever rehearse what you are going to say? Why? Yes. All the time. If you do not rehearse what you are going to say, I want to know your secret to confidence. Calling someone I do not know is terrifying, and I have to practice so I do not come across as a babbling idiot. Generally, I have found it to be helpful to have some sort of elevator pitch for every situation. So when I do call strangers, sometimes I sound overly peppy. Question 4. What would constitute a perfect day for you? Wake up early, go for a hike with friends, go to a brewery and hang out, take a bath or do a face mask, something relaxing, watch a movie, call it a night early. I'm pretty simple. I like spending time outside and eating good food. Question 5. When was the last time you sung to yourself? To someone else? I sing to myself every day on the way to and from work. I have, little car concerts. I don't really sing in the shower though. That is the place where I have my most profound thoughts. I need that thinking time. The last time I sang to someone else was at a karaoke party at a friend's house. I sang World Burn from Mean Girls the Musical because I wanted to burn down my workplace. I have since left that workplace. I sang other songs too, but I told the host that I get one musical theater number and then I'll be normal. Right before the party, I was interviewing for a new job and just got a rejection notice. And I did 4 interviews for this company and was let go in the final round. So that really helped with the angst and emotion of the song. I wasn't super mad about the rejection, but I was just like, come on, 4 interviews for nothing? Question 6. If you were able to live to the age of 90 and retain either the mind or a body of a 30-year-old for the last 60 years of your life, which would you want? I would take the body of a 30-year-old. I was so smart in high school, and I've been out of university for about 2 years now, and I am as dumb as a doorknob. Being mentally acute is important, but I feel like if you are exercising, it is easier to retain the mental acuity. I am not even 90, but I feel the mental decline happening already. It's inevitable, and I wish I could avoid it. 7. Do you have a secret hunch about how you will die? Yes, I will die in a car crash at age 59, according to a psychic I met once. Honestly, I was kind of relieved when she told me that. One of my biggest fears is struggling with mobility in my old age. My grandmother died of ALS-related causes, and it was a blessing and a curse for her. ALS is also known as Lou Gehrig's disease and is probably most popularized by the Ice Bucket Challenge and Stephen Hawking's diagnosis and public struggle with the disease. ALS is a fatal neurodegenerative disease that affects the motor neurons in the brain and spinal cord, gradually leading to paralysis. If it starts in the lower body, affected patients can generally have a long, happy life with assistance. If it starts in the upper body, patients typically succumb to the disease sooner. It can lead to breathing and eating problems, and oftentimes people will elect for a tracheostomy, which is a surgically created hole in the front of the neck leading to the windpipe, and or they will also need a feeding tube. Only 10% of cases can be linked to genetics, and if you have the gene, there's a 50% chance that it will be passed down to your children. Little is known about how this gene is activated and how it causes ALS, and I think about that fact a lot. I have never done any genetic testing, so I have no clue if I have it, and I don't really want to know. ALS is most commonly developed in your 60s to your 80s. However, Stephen Hawking developed his disease in his 20s and died at the age of 76. Slightly more men develop ALS than women, but this difference between genders disappears after the age of 70. Other than that, there are not many characteristics that link patients together. My Nana said when she got the diagnosis, she started living more positively because she was forced to do so. However, she absolutely hated to be dependent on others. She was living alone and had a nurse come at scheduled times to help care for her. My family was reaching the point where we were going to have to put her in a home because her care was becoming beyond that of the nurse's ability. She was on a wait list for a home, and it was a big point of contention in the relationship between my mother and my nana. My nana was wheelchair bound at this point. One day she was not properly strapped into a car in her wheelchair. She was not obviously driving. She could not at this point. But they got into a car accident and she flew out the windshield of her car and broke both of her hips. There were complications due to ALS, so doctors could not really operate, and she passed away basically due to pain and stress. The last time I talked to her was over the phone. Her voice had so much pain and she was really lucid, and I had a hard time understanding her. Within a week of my nana getting hospitalized, I was also in a car accident. It looked a lot worse than it actually was, but if any variable was slightly changed, I probably would have died by decapitation. The windshield shattered in my face, and I ended up with a broken nose and a bunch of glass in my face. I had stitches along my eyebrows and eyelids. I also had a set of stitches in the palm of my left hand that made grabbing anything really, really difficult. It created my most emo trait. I will stare at the scar on my hand and just ponder why I'm still alive and pretend I'm basically Harry Potter. It is a miracle that I am alive and my eyesight is intact. I was rushed to the hospital for, I don't really remember if it was an MRI or CT scan, but they needed to look at my soft tissues to make sure there was no internal bleeding. When I came out of a hospital with only surface level damage, and I was able to leave that same day. My mom was very calm and knew everything was going to be okay between me, my nana, and in the next couple of days, we knew that my nana's condition was declining and we knew it was her time. During this period, we got a call that a bed opened up in the care home, and my mom was able to say that we would not need it. I can't really explain this, but my mom felt a sense of relief knowing that Nana would never be placed in a home against her wishes, dependent on others. I mean, obviously we wish that the accident did not happen, but sometimes the universe's timing is right. So circling back to the original question, I do feel like the psychic I met is right. I am like a cat. I have 9 lives and I've already used 3. I've never had good luck with cars, and 2 of my lives have been lost to them. The other life was lost with an ATV. Question number 8. Name 3 things you and your partner appear to have in common. 1, we both like podcasts. 2, we like learning new things and meeting new people. 3, we're pretty hot, pretty good looking. Question number 9. For what in your life do you feel most grateful? I feel most grateful for my parents. The older I get, the more I understand them and respect how much they sacrificed for me. I also feel really grateful for my friends. I am not good at relationships, so sometimes it is hard for me to recognize, but I ran a race recently. The race was in a major city about 1.5 hours from where I live, and I decided to drive out the night before and get a hotel room. I had friends make that drive to get dinner with me the night before and hang out in the area, and I just really appreciated that support. Question 10. If you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be? I wish I could have been a better daughter and a nicer person to my peers. Somewhere down the lines, I feel like I missed learning certain coping mechanisms, and I wish I was raised in a way where I was able to learn them. I don't deal with stress well, and I have a hard time feeling stable if I get knocked out of my routines. I can deal with change when I know it's coming, like I have no problem changing my routine and adapting it, but when stress and surprises pop up, I lose it. I wish I was able to learn healthy coping mechanisms instead of bottling everything up, because no one really wanted to deal with me as a child when I was having outbursts. Question 11, take 4 minutes and tell your partner your life story in as much detail as possible. I was born in Ohio. I moved to Illinois around age 3. I went to Catholic school. I moved again to the greater DC area around 2nd grade, and then 6 months later, my family moved back to Illinois. I went back to the same old Catholic school. I left Catholic school for public school. My mom wanted me to go to Catholic school to make it easier to get First Communion, but in the area I lived, public schools provided a better education. I moved back to Ohio again at the end of 6th grade. I got confirmed in high school, but I did it for my parents. I am currently my only immediate family member who is not religious, but I did start praying again due to the stress of my job, and now I don't really know what to believe. The idea of organized religion makes me shudder. However, I do have the utmost respect for people who practice a religion. The amount of time and dedication that it takes to practice a religion is impressive. I'm not sure if my comfortability level with organized religion is due to my own experiences or how society portrays religion I feel mostly negatively. So overall, I'm still struggling to my relationship with religion, to God, and what my place in the universe is. I graduated high school and went to a university in Pennsylvania, the same university as my older sister. I chose a university 3 hours away from where I graduated high school, thinking it would be the perfect distance away, and it was one of the best ones that I got into, frankly. My parents moved across the country to California. After my sophomore year, where they currently are, I did my junior year abroad in London when I was in college. This was a freeing experience because it was the first time I felt I could be viewed as truly myself, not an aspect of someone else's personality, not a function of my mom, my dad, or my sister. I had a job offer when I graduated university in 2020, but due to COVID, it got rescinded, and I ended up staying at my university for an extra year to get my master's. I finally graduated university. I bought a townhouse and started a new job. I left my first job and started my second, which I'm currently struggling in. During all this time, I started running as a coping mechanism for stress. I've run 3 half marathons at this point, and I'm trying to motivate myself to train for a full marathon. Somewhere along the way, I played basketball. I quit basketball to do theater, so I am the real Troy Bolton. I considered doing a theater degree, but I chose a safer, more practical engineering degree. I miss art and creation, but I know I made the right choice. Since starting my job, I started teaching myself guitar to fill the creative void I've been missing, and starting this podcast will hopefully also fill that creative void. I view myself as a function of where I live, what I do for work, and how I spend my time doing hobbies. Question 12. If you could wake up tomorrow having gained any one quality or ability, what would it be? I would like the ability to stop time. I could get infinite sleep, free time, and work time. This would probably turn me into a workaholic, and I will say I'm pretty good at drawing a work-life balance because I like my life. I don't like to work. But it is important. I shouldn't say that. It is important. But yeah, I do not want to be a superhero. I've seen The Boys, and I know how that turns out. So, no thank you. Set 2. Question 13. If a crystal ball could tell you the truth about yourself, your life, the future, or anything else, what would you want to know? I would like to know if the psychic's prediction of my own death is true. Actually, just kidding. I do not want to know the specifics of anything in the future, but I would like to know when and how to prepare for hard times. If there's any mistakes I should avoid, I'd rather just have a sixth sense to know when trouble is coming. If anything, I'd ask for winning Powerball numbers or what stocks to invest in and when to sell. So who needs insider trading when you have a magic crystal ball? Question 14. Is there something that you've dreamed of doing for a long time? Why haven't you done it? I would like to run a marathon. Training is hard and timely, which is why I have not done it yet. I am turning 26 soon, and I do want to do a marathon before I turn 27 because, I want to do 26 miles for 26 years. I would also like to drive across the United States and kind of do like van life light for a little bit, but that requires a lot of money or a job that would let me to do that. So maybe I'll do that further down the line. Question 15. What is the greatest accomplishment of your life? Getting my master's degree and buying my townhome are my greatest accomplishments. My master's degree was one of the first things I feel like I accomplished on my own. In my undergraduate years, I was successful by working hard and by being friendly and working well with people who are a lot smarter than me. My 1 year's master program was done in quarantine and done mostly remotely. So I did get help with my peers, but I felt like I did my master's by myself, not by relying on others. Even though the degree and the house are bigger accomplishments, I felt happiest when I ran my first half marathon. Question 16. What do you value most in a friendship? I value good listening. I really want to be seen. I appreciate the friends who challenge me and show me that they are actively listening to me. Friendships should be 50-50. However, they are not going to be 50-50 in every aspect and in every moment in time. Sometimes I will be more of a taker and other times I will be more of a giver. I value the people who understand this and can navigate this within a friendship. Question 17. What is your most treasured memory? When I was a kid, my extended family would take these long summer beach vacations. So my fondest memories are of those vacations, going to the beach, getting dinner, playing cards, all that kind of family stuff. Question 18. What is your most terrible memory? My sister and I have a complicated relationship. I don't understand her, but we are okay now, at least I think. There was a point where both my sister and I were particularly awful to each other. We were living in the same city where we went to university, and my mom came to visit us. I did not have a car at the time, but my sister did, and my parents bought a car for my sister for her college, but they didn't do the same for me. I know that's first world problems, but it felt a little favoritism-y to me, but whatever. So anyways, I did not have a car at the time, but my sister did. In front of our mom, she said that she would help me with something that required a car. So the next day, I texted her asking for help. She responded that she did not want to spend time with me and she would not help me. I felt really annoyed and betrayed, but I respected that she wanted distance and did not reach out to her. I messaged her once and said, I respect your distance. I will not reach out to you again. But what really bugged me is she pretended to be kind in front of our mom just to be two-faced behind her back. Later in that year, she gets a promotion, kind of. It was complicated, but that's not the point. So she gets a job transfer and she moves. She does not tell me this. She does not say goodbye. And at that point, I assumed that my relationship with my sister was over and did not care. What really hurt me, and this is my most terrible memory, was that my mom blamed me solely for the breakdown of our relationship. I found out that my sister moved in a text from my mom after the fact, and she was expressing disappointment in me that I did not see her out. I just felt really sick of getting blamed for everything. Question 19. If you knew that in 1 year you would die suddenly, would you change anything about the way you are living right now? Why? I would quit my job. If I could tell people and they would believe me, I would move back in with my parents and enjoy my time with my family. If people wouldn't believe me, I would still quit my job. I would just stay where I am and enjoy more time with my friends and hike more. Question 20. What does friendship mean to you? It means we can trust and rely on each other. We can support each other even if we don't fully agree with each other's decisions. I'm someone who's really happy just to get an invite. Friendship means that you actually want to include me, not that you simply feel obligated to. Question 21. What roles do love and affection play in your life? I love my parents. I love my sister. I feel like a big part of that love comes from a sense of duty and family. When looking for a partner, I feel obligated to look for someone who has the same outlook on love, even though I think I want someone to actually love me, and I'm unsure of what that means. Because my definition of love is based off of obligation, my biggest fear is that I will never be able to love a partner. I do not think I am capable of that type of love. I'm not a very affectionate person. I try to compliment those I care about and give people words of affirmation, but I don't like touching people and I don't like people touching me. So I'm not affectionate with my friends or family, and I couldn't even imagine being affectionate with a partner. I do love my friends and I feel a very joyous type of love. It's different from the love that I feel for my family, and it's still not the type of love I would feel for a partner, but it is love. The Greeks invented like 9 different types of love, and I don't know them all at the top of my head. Like agape is one. But if you're interested in that kind of stuff, give it a quick Google after this. Question 22. Alternate sharing something you consider a positive characteristic of your partner. Share a total of 5 items. Okay, 5 more compliments for the audience. 1. If you made it this far, you are tenacious and patient. 2. You are making a difference in the podcast community. 3. You have a great sense of humor because I haven't made any jokes yet and you are still sticking around. 4. You are better than a unicorn because you are real. 5. You probably smell really good. Question 23. How close and warm is your family? Do you feel your childhood was happier than most other people's? Families are complicated, and you can probably tell that mine is too from what I've said so far. I talk to my mom once or twice a week. I have no secrets with her, but I do try to keep her at arm's length. I don't like to share my problems with her. I don't like it when she sees me weak and vulnerable, but I appreciate the sacrifices she's made for our family. My mom is a really generous person. She will always give you the shirt off of her back. My dad is my biggest supporter. He shows it by his actions, not necessarily by his words. I feel like he is both my friend and my dad, where my mom will only just ever be my mom. My sister and I, as I have stated, have a strained relationship, but we are doing okay now. I wouldn't describe anyone in my family as warm. Maybe my mom, but none of us are cold either. And I do feel like my childhood was happier than most. I had 2 present parents. I was allowed to roam the neighborhood with all the neighborhood kids freely, which, made my childhood really fun and full of imagination. There's a disconnect between my childhood and my adulthood, and I cannot pinpoint when, where, or why it happened. And that's also something that my mom points out. She says I was like a different person as a child, and she's not sure what the turning point was for me. Question 24. How do you feel about your relationship with your mom? My mother will always be a mom. She will never be my friend. As I've grown, I've gotten a better understanding of my mom. She was a stay-at-home mom, and because of that, I thought her adult life was always so easy. I do not understand her struggles, but now I am mature enough to recognize and respect them. To give her credit, she worked while my dad was in grad school and basically paid for his grad school, which gave our entire family better opportunities. And this was before I was born. She also really wanted to be a lawyer, but after my sister was born, she decided not to go to law school because she wanted to stay and take care of us, which is a really, really big sacrifice. My mom needs to be a mom and take care of something. She, however, raised me and my sister, or my sister and I, to be independent. She raised us to be so independent to a point where we don't need a mom, even though she needs a daughter. I feel like that caused a lot of contention in our relationship in the past. I mentioned that I like to keep my mom at arm's length, but I am more willing to rely on her now. However, it's about smartly picking what I let her in on, and I feel like that it's improved our relationship a little bit. Set 3. Question 25. Make 3 true we statements. For instance, we are both in this room feeling blank. 1. We are both not physically in the same room. At least I hope we're not. 2. We enjoy each other's company. Hopefully, if you've made it this far, I hope you love me because I like you. Number 3, we both seek truth and fear it. Question 26. Complete this sentence. I wish I had someone with whom I could share a long-term friendship. I have had a hard time maintaining friendships because as a kid, I moved around a lot, so I don't have a lot of close friends from high school. This kind of hindered my ability to make friends in college. I'm so used to leaving people and seeing people leave me that sometimes I think, what's the point of making friends when one of us are inevitably going to leave? I was a senior in university when COVID happened, and I never got to say goodbye to a lot of my friends in uni. I have not maintained a relationship with them, but when I was a senior for the first time, I felt like I had hope. I felt like I had the most friends I've ever had, and then COVID happened and I lost track. I am friendly with a lot of people, but I don't have a lot of close friends. People like me, but I'm never wanted in places, just accepted. Question 27. If you were going to become a close friend with your partner, please share what would be important for them to know. I'm overdramatic. I panic at times, and it can be scary for myself and other people. At this point, take my fear and feelings seriously, but don't take what I say seriously. A lot of times I just need help calming down so I can see clearly. I have had a hard time expressing my feelings, so if I just start talking about something random, that means I like you and want to spend time with you. Question 28. Tell your partner what you like about them. Be very honest this time, saying things that you might not say to someone you've just met. All of these questions about the audience are getting harder to answer, y'all. If you decide to join this journey, I'm excited to learn from you and get to know you. Every person you meet in life has something to teach you, though not all lessons are good and easy, so I'm looking forward to learning with you. Question 29. Share with your partner an embarrassing moment in your life. I was probably in elementary school and my sister was in middle school when this happened. She was playing in a basketball tournament. I was there with my mom watching the game. During one of them, I went to a bake sale and I got a cupcake. I bought 2 of them, one for myself, the other for my sister. I ate mine while watching the game. It was good. The game ends. I start walking across the court to give my sister her cupcake. I tripped and fell on my belly, but I saved the cupcake. I look up and I see the entire team just staring at me. They aren't sure if I am hurt yet, so we are all in this suspended silence. They are waiting to see if I am hurt or if they can laugh. And I say, while still on the ground, here's your cupcake. And then they will start laughing at me. I was embarrassed, but not in a mean way. My slip made a lot of people happy. Embarrassment is a choice, and most of the times I choose not to feel it. Question 30. When did you last cry in front of another person? By yourself? So the last time I cried in front of a person was at a Thai restaurant. A friend was moving across the country the next day, and I was getting dinner with him and a couple of other people. A different friend asked me about my job, and I started tearing up a bit. I was trying to express how I am frustrated with my lack of guidance I have at work. I keep on making mistakes that inconvenience my coworkers. I'm learning a lot, but constantly failing is not a good feeling. As a person, I am a crier. I cry all the time over good things, over bad things, just because I want a good cry. So I can't really tell you specifically when the last time I cried was, but it was probably last week over something kind of stupid or something kind of fun. I also cry in movies. If a movie is bad, if a movie is just visually stunning or really good, or there's an incredible scene, I will cry. So overall, I cry by myself quite a lot. Question 31. Tell your partner something that you really like about them already. Audience, you are a really good listener, and I do appreciate you being here. Question 32. What, if anything, is too serious to be joked about? I do not think anything is too serious to be joked about in the proper context. I do not have a lot of issues with subject matter, but I do think jokes can be really tacky due to timing and context. If you are making an edgy joke, you really have to know your audience. Twitter is not the place for edgy jokes. If you do make one, you must know your audience will understand it and like it, and you also have to accept that you will get criticism from people outside of your audience. If someone makes a joke I don't like, I simply move on my life. If it really bugs me, I'll unfollow them, but I won't join a parade of people to complain or try to cancel them. That requires too much energy, and I'm too busy already. I live by the rule of say whatever you want, but do not make it personally about me. That's when you've crossed the line. When you are being mean and punching down on a specific person. Now, I wouldn't say I'm a free speech absolutist. I do not think people should be able to protest funerals. I don't care how awful or horrible the person is, but they should not be joked about or protested at a funeral. People deserve to have a dignified funeral or burial, not necessarily for them, mostly for the family that is burying them. Joke about them and criticize them at any other time in any other form of media, but just not directly at the funeral. So to circle back to the original question, make whatever jokes you want publicly, but just don't make it at a funeral. Question 33. If you were to die this evening with no opportunity to communicate with anyone, what would you most regret not having told someone, and why haven't you told them yet? I would like to apologize to a couple people for things I've done wrong in the past. I was not as kind as I should be. The reason why I haven't done it yet is because, I don't want to make it awkward. There's 2 guys from my previous job I'd love to go back in time and just completely tell off because they're awful. However, I'm not going to do that because I would look psychotic. I would like to tell my parents and my sister how much I love them. I could do that now, but it's also that would be awkward and weird. Generally, I am an open person and will let people know how I feel if I'm asked. Question 34. Your house containing everything you own catches fire. After saving your loved ones and pets, you have time to safely make a final dash to save any one item. What would it be and why? I have a vintage watch from a great aunt that I would say it is somewhat valuable and sentimental. So if I could carry multiple things, I would just probably take a lot of jewelry that I have from my grandparents that aren't necessarily valuable but are very sentimental to me. Question 35. Of all the people in your family, whose death would you find most disturbing and why? I would find my dad's death the most disturbing. In reality, he will probably die first, not anytime soon though. He is a workaholic and I can see that it's starting to weigh on him. He's emotionally exhausted and I want him to retire and rest, but I do not know when he's going to do it. If he died before he retired, that's not fair. In life, my dad did everything right, and I would be disturbed if he didn't get his well-earned rest. The hardest thing I've struggled with in my adult life is when you do everything right and you follow the rules and you still get a bad outcome. Life can be random and cruel, and I have a hard time comprehending the chaos. Question 36. Share a personal problem and ask your partner's advice on how they might handle it. Also ask your partner to reflect back to how you seem to be feeling about the problem you have chosen. I don't know my purpose in life. I don't know what I'm doing or what I'm supposed to do. I don't know how to make the world better. I don't know what I'm good at. I don't know how to find meaning. And I don't even know if I'm capable of love, and I'm terrified of that. For the first time in my life, I feel regretful of the decisions that I've made, and I feel paralyzed about making new ones. Because what if I can't change my fate, or I change my fate and I end up in a worse situation? And generally, I just feel really lost right now. And that's why I am working on this goal. If I accomplish something I set out to do, then maybe I'll get back on track. So thank you for tuning into episode 1 of the 21st Hour podcast. Hopefully you'll join me on this adventure, and next time we'll talk about something more fun. Probably it'll be balloons. So comment your advice on how you've gotten out of a rut when you've gotten stuck. Answer your favorite question of the 36 for me, and let me know if there's anything you want your friendly neighborhood internet stranger to talk about. Thanks again. This is Hedge signing off of episode 1 of the 21st Hour podcast. Bye, friends!